this league, Overtime Elite,
Yep.
I think it's dope. And I think it's, again, being on the forefront of something. And with the name, image, and likeness thing. How did you feel about that? Like, my stance was always, I don't know, bro, if like me and you played college basketball together. You were the starter, I was the backup. You're the man, right? You're the number one recruit. Do you get paid the same as me? Do we get paid the same? So the idea of like a stipend for a student athlete, I never agreed with, but I couldn't disagree more with the idea of if us two go out to dinner with our girlfriends and some booster wants to buy us steak dinners, we're going to get in trouble for that. Or
Yeah.
if you wanted to get a tattoo and the tattoo guy was like, yo, sign a couple jerseys for me and like, the $1,200 arm sleeve you don't got to worry about.
Yeah.
Like that's where shit got a little crazy for me.
So the name, image, and likeness thing, like I think it's a great first step. And I do think there's a lot of college athletes that think like, oh my God, I'm about to get paid now. And like realistically, they're not because
this is still like the top 1%.
yeah, it's like if Zion was in college now, like he probably would have got a bag, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's about it's about how strong your social media brand is really. Like I think a lot of college kids think this is going to change everything. I don't think it will. Like I don't think it will for them necessarily. It won't for that many kids. Like it's going to be the top percent, the ones that are really savvy on creating content, social media. They're going to get some brand deals. They're going to maybe be able to link up with influencer marketing companies, stuff like that. Hopefully, we're trying to flesh out like for now, like for our playbook, like we've been working with athletes in high school and we haven't been able to pay them when we wanted to because we don't want to ruin their eligibility.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of why we said F it and we started our own league so we could actually pay our high school kids and create content around them and really try to develop them on and off the court. But before the league, the way it would go is we would, we work with these kids. We'd really help grow their brands. Their social media followers would skyrocket. And then they go to college and we can't touch them until they're in the NBA. And then when they're in the NBA, they have an agent, they have a team, and it's hard to infiltrate that as well. So we'd love to have the cohesiveness of working with them throughout. So it's like, okay, they go to high school and then now if they go to college, which is fine. Overtime Elite's not for every single athlete. So like college is still, a good path for some kids. And then it's like, now maybe we can work with them. Maybe we can get them in some sponsored content, get them paid, to help promote the university, help promote the program and the kid. So I know internally right now, like we're trying to figure out what our play is with name, image, and likeness in the NCAA, and we'll figure it out. But I mean, I think that's a good first step. Like things are changing. Like back in the 70s and 80s or whatever, like if you wanted college players to be amateurs, that's fine. But like these D1 college basketball players specifically, like they're not amateurs. Like they're pros in every sense. Like one, they work really hard. When you work really hard, you should get paid. Two, like their college scholarship doesn't really mean anything, and some people are offended by that. But it's because like they go to school for 6 months and then they don't go to school anymore. Like they're not getting a degree anyway. And two, most of these players, they're bringing in way more revenue than what their scholarship is. Like
Yeah.
and they're selling jerseys. Like there's no way to put it. Like something like this needed to happen. As far as like getting paid salary in college, like I don't know if it's gonna happen. And then like I agree with what you said. Like the walk-on like probably doesn't need to get paid like a salary, but like Zion probably does. And I think now with the G League Ignite team and Overtime Elite, NCAA really feels the pressure, and they're definitely starting to change things, and we're seeing that become evident now.
What's the list of, I guess, requests for a 16-year-old basketball like prodigy? Like, is their social media presence a big demand? Is like,
are you saying for Overtime Elite?
I'm saying just in general, as someone that covers that field, right, and that demographic. Like I went back and visited my old high school, and everybody's on their phones and shit. Like everyone cares about Instagram and their followers. So like, what is it? What is like the list of like what they strive for? Is it a following? Is it being a better athlete? Is it education? Like, how would you power rank it from your experience?
What they prioritize?
Yeah, like what's their priorities?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know 100%. Like They definitely care about social media in a way we didn't, because we just didn't really have social media growing up.
We had MySpace.
Yeah, we had MySpace.
MySpace was like the first
Yeah,
big one where if you were in someone's
exactly.
top 8, you knew you were like legit.
Exactly. Like I think, yeah, it's like, we tell these athletes to build their own brands. Like social media is a thing that really helps that. At the end of the day, like having hundreds of thousands of followers is just an asset, and it's a way to distribute and promote different things and create your own brand and make money. So I think it's important for kids, for these basketball players at a young age to, focus on that. I hope that they're focusing more on their craft than anything else. And I think they are, like, nowadays there's just so much access to information, like between strength and conditioning and basketball skill work. Like NBA players are as skilled as they've ever been. High school players are as skilled as they've ever been. Like there's definitely flaws in the system with development, and that's one thing we're trying to fix with Overtime Elite. But all in all, like I would hope that their priorities are like, school, like they got to keep their grades up, like for the most part, school and working on their craft. But yeah, they definitely care about the clout. They definitely want to be on Overtime, be in the content, because it is fun. And they want to grow on social because they know it could benefit them in the future.
Yeah, it's weird how everything correlates too, because yeah, you could have a pop in social media, but if you're whack on the court, eventually that's gonna fizzle out. So you need to have
100%.
game too.
100%. But that's another reason why, like, it's like if you look even at the McDonald's All Americans, right? If you went down the list of the last 20 years McDonald's All Americans, and like there'd be a lot of names like you don't even know, because it's like nothing's promised. So it's like, and some of these players, they fizzle out for a number of reasons. Maybe they weren't good enough to begin with and their potential, and they just were playing in like a weak high school league. Or maybe like they did have the potential, but they didn't have the right team or guidance or program to develop them.
Got hurt.
They got hurt. And it's like, dude, imagine if Zion got hurt in college and was done.
Well, there was that
He
incident.
would have made $0.
Yeah, that incident when like he blew out his sneaker.
Yeah.
Remember he ripped through the sneaker?
Imagine it. Yeah.
If that was like an
yeah.
Achilles or some shit, knock
100%.
on wood for the dude.
And at that point, like, they're selling his jerseys. CBS is buying the rights to those games. That's millions of dollars. They're selling the jerseys. He has to wear Nike because Duke's a Nike school. So he's just put in all these different things. He's making no money of it, and his career could be over. And that's the thing, is like he deserved to make money even in high school, because he had 1 million followers. He should have been able to do brand deals, but he didn't because he didn't want to lose eligibility. And, he just needs to be able to capitalize and have something, because we all know how short pro sport careers are in general, which is why they get paid so much, but not everyone's that fortunate. So, that's another cool thing about Overtime Elite, is that we have like an insurance policy for injuries. And if they don't end up playing professional basketball, we have $100,000 scholarship ready for them to go back to school, not play basketball, just for academics, as like a backup plan. That's how we're trying to, make a system that's pretty flawed better. Because that's the thing, is like the way it's like Zion had to go to college for 1 year and then go to the NBA. Like that was the best route for him. And like he doesn't have a degree now. Like, what's his backup plan?
Yeah.
If he just has that rookie contract, like, there's no backup plan. So it's like they're kind of set up. Like, they're set up in a tough spot. Like, it's either like, yo, you got to make it. Like, you got to have a 10-year career, or like, I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's a flawed system for sure.
Man, it's fascinating when you look at it from that perspective. Like, yeah, you go into college, and some people would argue that these guys got paid under the table and whatnot.
Yeah,
and you've heard stories after the fact, too. But still, I think what's fascinating with Overtime Elite is that you're creating something for... Now, is this going to take away from kids going to play college basketball?
Yeah, as soon as you get paid as a professional basketball player, you can't play in college anymore. So for the kids that are deciding to go to Overtime Elite, they're opting out of college basketball.
Now, are these kids Kentucky Duke level?
Yes.
And they're choosing not to go to those D1 schools.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So these kids are the top prospects. We want the top players that are on the path of the NBA. Like that, those are the type of players we want. We don't care about their social media as much on Overtime Elite side. It's strictly like
primary factor right away is, can you ball?
100%. and because I mean that's how it's going to work. And we're basically, we want them at age 16 because we want time to develop them, and then the route, we're getting them in basically. It's a full on like NBA operation. We have former NBA coaches, former NCAA championship coaches, NBA strength and conditioning coaches. It's basically like the GM is a ex NBA GM, so it's basically like an NBA front office. There's going to be a whole academic side that one gets them their high school diploma, gives them customized academics to what they need specifically, and then really preparing them for the NBA, which is financial literacy, social media literacy, how to deal with these social justice issues. Like these 16 to 18-year-olds that are going to be in the NBA in a few years, they're really the role models for the country. Like you see what happened with George Floyd, like and the people who spoke out, like these NBA players made such a difference. But it's like, who's getting them ready for that? How could you be ready for that? So we're just creating when you start it yourself, you can just design it the way you want. So we care just as much about the academic side as we do about the on-court skill development. But we're going to put an NBA basketball, NBA size court, run NBA offenses from the time they're 16, 17, 18, and we're going to pay them. They're going to have money in their pocket. They're going to know how to handle their money. They're going to know how to play with the best players, with the best coaches, and they're just going to be prepared for the NBA in a way that just never has happened before. And people wonder why. If you look at the NBA now, Giannis, Jokic, Luka Doncic, all these guys are international.
Yep.
And why are these guys better than our NBA players than the American players when I thought America was the best at basketball? It's because they've been playing pro since they were 16 in real programs with grown men. And that's what we're trying to start here in America.
Dude, verbatim, that's my argument. Are you a soccer fan at all?
I'm not, but I understand how that works overseas. Like if you're in England and you're not a pro by 15, like you're not good.
You're not going to make it.
You're not going to make
so
it.
That's the biggest difference. Here we value education. I don't want to shit on education, but Christian Pulisic, who's the captain of the men's team now, he plays for Chelsea, just won the Champions League. He's the golden boy for the U.S. men's national team. He's 23 years old now. If he was to go through the American ranks, right, he's graduating college 21, 22. Then he's going pro in the MLS. Whereas, like you said, if he's playing professional at 16 for Borussia in Germany, like you have a 6-7 year disadvantage. When you're a kid 22 years old graduating from Stanford and going to the MLS, those dudes from Argentina, from England and France, when you're 22, you have 6 years. Mbappe now is 22. Like, that's why that kid going up against someone from Duke?
Yeah. It's like you said, we value education. And like we do in America, but like I think we're like pretending we care about education with athletes. Like I said, like
that's a good point.
It's like Zion doesn't get a degree. Like he just makes the college money and then goes on to playing professional. Like that's really what it is.
We front like we care, but we don't. We
front like we care, but like we don't. Like, that's a whole nother story. Like, because these colleges are just businesses. You know what I mean? Like, I got a degree too. It's great. It's great to have your education, and I'm all about it. But at the same time, like, but we're really inconsistent because if you look at tennis players and golf players, they're pro by 15 and 16 years old, and they're getting sponsorship deals too. But when it's American basketball players, oh no, don't pay them that young. Like, God forbid. You know what I mean? It's like it makes you think like why even. Don't high school baseball players get drafted out of high school too?
Yeah.
It's just like just basketball players that like I guess the NBA made the rule so it's 19 to go in the NBA. But now we've seen with LaMelo, guys like RJ Hampton, you don't need to go to college. You can, LaMelo dropped out of high school. He was a pro at 16. He played in Lithuania. Then he played in Australia. And now look at him, rookie of the year. And honestly looking like a generational type talent.
Yep.
So with these players doing that, and then I don't know if you know about the G League Ignite team, but basically the G League started this team for the 18-year-olds where they pay them $500,000 and it's just a year to prep them for the NBA draft. So you had guys like Jalen Green who, was a top high school player and, could have went to any college he wanted to, said, no, I'm not going to college. I'm going to go to G League Ignite team. I'm going to get paid. I'm going to play against real pros in the G League bubble. And now he's going to look like he's going to be like a top 3 pick. So with Overtime Elite, we can have these kids from 16, 17, 18. and then hopefully they'll be able to go to the NBA draft, or 16, 17 they can go to the Ignite team and then go to the draft, or 16, 17 they can go overseas and then go to the draft. So there's a lot of different options still.
I think the cool thing about the overtime elite league is that you don't got to worry about that argument of, oh, they might not be playing with the best competition if you're only getting the best competition. So that's why I asked if all those guys that are going into this league are eligible for like Kentucky's and Duke's and Syracuse's of the world, because then if you're scouting them, you don't got to worry of what's the level of competition. You see that all the time in like the NFL, right? Like this quarterback, like Trey Lance just got drafted by the 49ers. It's like, well, he's played one game in the last 2 years, and it was an FBS school. He didn't play Ohio State and Michigan.
No, exactly.
But like talent is talent, though, too.
100%. And that's what we care about. Like we want to be credible. Like we want these kids, we want the scouts to respect the league the kids are playing in, and take it seriously. And that's why like the schedule is going to be diverse, right? They're going to be playing against, they're going to be playing in the league against each other. They're going to be playing overseas against other professional teams. We just recently scrimmaged against Team Loaded, which is like one of the best AAU programs in the country. So they're going to get, there's going to be a lot of different things, and there might be some traveling abroad as well. So, our number one focus is, preparing them the best for the NBA, and that means they get playing against really good competition. Getting their butt kicked sometimes as well. So
that's part of it.
It's part of it. So, we have a great team, and we have a facility that's being built now in Atlanta, and a great team that's forming down there as well. And it's just amazing to see these high level people just focused on developing these young men. So it's pretty great.